In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, this is going to be the only no BS version about why you need to focus on your numbers and your finances in your MSP. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. Third time lucky. We're going to be talking to you today about going from cash flow chaos to absolute clarity with a no BS podcast with the amazing Heather Macdonald-Alford. How are you doing today, Heather? You all right?
Yeah, not bad. Thank you. You?
Excellent. Yes, we're all good. Thank you. Finance can be a dry subject. Numbers can be a dry subject. We all go on about it all the time. And today we're happy at the minute because it's the morning of the budget. And I'm sure this afternoon we'll all be crying in our tea. But anyway, it is what it is. And maybe we can touch on that a little bit as well, Heather. So got Heather on the podcast today because yes, it's not the most exciting subject, finance, but we're going to be giving you a bit of a little bit of a clip round the ear and a jab in the ribs and a punch in the guts about why you really need to focus. And I couldn't think of anybody in the channel better than to do this than Heather. For those who know Heather, well, you'll get to know Heather by the end of this episode. But for those who don't know you, Heather, who are you, what do you do, and who do you help?
So I am the Director of Counting Creators, which is a virtual finance department to MSPs, and we look after them from their mailbox right up to their end of year accounts and everything in between to help them make the right decisions for the business.
Great stuff. That's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. And as you may know, if you've met Heather before, if you thought I had some energy, then she's my coach, right? And we have no idea how the language is going to go in this show. So just like buckle up, put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride.
Buckle up. Brilliant.
Yes, just get ready for this one.
Don't be offended.
I think they know that by now. So look, MSPs, most of them, they don't have a finance problem, do they? They have kind of like data issues. A lot of people shy away from their numbers. They don't want to look at their numbers. They look at their bank balance and they think that's the profitability of the business. But we're going to be sharing with you today some really important insights, actually. That's what this show is about, is the insights that Heather's got working with MSPs and their finances, that when you do this is kind of what you get. From a finance point of view, Heather, what's the landscape looking like for MSPs, at the moment, back end of 2025?
I would say that we're still facing the same old problems. It's the same narrative that comes up continuously, and therefore the lessons maybe aren't always learned or listened to. Now, a lot of MSPs go out into all the conferences and sit in all the rooms and they sit there with the great big ideas and think, brilliant, I'm going to go back and action this, and then they get distracted by being super busy in their business that they don't action them, and therefore they end up in a very similar place, which is not making enough money or not making any money in some cases. So that's essentially now what we see. A lot of really, really busy, capable now people who just want to have really decent businesses, but they're just working too much for not enough money.
And it's absolutely true because, as we know, many MSPs, kind of grew up from the technical world, and asking for money and charging for money and knowing your value can be really scary, right? Actually been in this sales process. I hate sales. I hate marketing. It's not my happy place. I just want to press some buttons and fix some tech. And it's kind of all of that place. But we talk all the time in the Growth Hub, and it's all right. If people who are involved in our world and your world, you're in a great place, okay? Because you've got the support who are going to help you understand why this is so important. But we talk about knowing your numbers. You've got to know your numbers. And I want to dive into some of the blind spots that people can, overcome when they start to know their numbers. So if I say to you, Heather, you're an MSP and you need to know your numbers, or you sort of saying to an MSP, you need to know your numbers. What do you actually mean? What does that kind of break down to in kind of reality?
So it breaks down like even just the basics. Are you making money on the services that you're providing, and you're not propping your business up by projects? Now, I'll often see MSPs and they think, we're doing good money, we're doing all right. Well, actually, we sit and look and go, not really, because you're not washing your face in your business because you've got so much projects out there, and it's lovely that that's coming in. And a great example would be the Windows 10. Now, there's a lot of businesses who had an influx of all these hardware purchases, but
Mm.
that's kind of distorted, I would say, their revenue, and therefore they think that they're having a great year, and they are having a great year, but that year will not be
Yeah.
next year
Yeah.
because that's now that that dog has been flogged.
Yeah.
So that's something that now people need to get the real clarity on, like what's going on with their services, what's going on with their projects, get your mix right, and make sure that essentially your services are covering your overhead as well, and that your projects is the cream on the top. That's nice. So yeah, sorry, what was the
Yeah,
question,
no,
Hannah?
that was kind of it really, about knowing the numbers and some of the metrics. We did a round table yesterday talking about M&A, and I'm sure we'll touch on that today, about that transferable value that we're talking
Mm,
a lot to our clients about at the moment. Is, running an MSP is great. And I was talking to an MSP probably about 6 weeks ago, and it was an intro call, just getting to know what we were doing and stuff. And he said, I've got no intention on selling this business. And I said in my head, bless you. And I said, by the way, whether you like it or not, one day or another, you will sell that business, and you're either
mhm,
going to be happy or you're going to be not so happy.
mhm,
But you've got a decision right now to make some changes in that business over the next 2 to 3 years to build that value in. By the way, it all starts with knowing your numbers.
mm.
And anyway, a week later, he was in the office doing his growth planning session, being onboarded, which was amazing, right? Because he suddenly went,
Yeah,
oh my God, you're absolutely right. We're going to sell this business. But, and yesterday on the round table, we were talking about, Darren Strong mentioned, you've got to know profitability, not by client, but by service, which is exactly what you said. And it's like, why is that important? What's the, I know it might be a bit obvious to some people, but this is like the first stepping stone into knowing your numbers, isn't it?
yeah. Well, I think if you don't know what your margins are, you don't know if you're making money on it,
Yeah.
but B, if you're making enough money on it.
Yeah.
And now you're not able to compare it to the others in your industry, and that with the same sentiment. Like now we hear a lot about now numbers thrown around a room, but I also see in the background, as you do with other MSPs, that not all the same way to analyze the numbers is the same. Now
Yeah.
different groups analyze in
Yeah.
different ways, but ultimately if you don't know what's actually making you money, you could be sitting
Yeah.
doing something that's not making you anything.
Yeah.
And we see that and hear about it, and you think, sack it off or do something different. Like
Yeah.
you need to look at the things, because at the end of the day, I think I said this at PAX A actually when I was speaking. I says, now you're going to end up working till whatever age and get paid crap money, and like your staff are getting paid more than you because you've got
Yeah.
a good heart, but you need to get into the details to make from the beginning or as quick as certain you as possible to ensure that you're making the right amount of money for as
Yeah.
long as possible.
Yeah. And it's really key, isn't it? Because every MSP is busy. Every
Mm.
MSP is busy. And we celebrate when our clients sack their clients,
Yes.
because they're not making any money. So you might have someone on your service desk, or who's burning up time, burning up time. Oh, they're our biggest customer. Yeah, but are they actually your most profitable customer? Because a
Yeah.
lot of the time you can find that customer is so needy because you've kind of teach them how to behave, and they've adopted it, and they've taken advantage of you, and now your costs have gone up, you haven't put their prices up, and all of a sudden it's burning your service desk, and you will actually make more money, you'd take more money home every night if you didn't do that. How do you help MSPs to have confidence, to sack a client off if they're not making money? Because you must have this conversation quite a bit.
Well, there's two ways actually, right? One is I'm pretty confident doing it myself. Um, and I think quite a lot of MSPs have taken, I don't know what the word would be, but the encouragement from that, like, well,
Yeah.
God, really? Like, I can do
Yeah.
it, like, not in a hard way, but they're not making you money.
Yeah.
So if it's not making you money, what are you doing? You could
Yeah.
work less hours and still make the same because
Yes.
the
Yeah.
revenue looks like it's coming in. It's
Yeah.
brilliant, but
Yeah.
the time is just destroying you. And from the other respect, is like I know that about time tracking now. I personally, obviously, I can't do it for MSPs.
Yeah.
That's not a tool I offer. But now I know that if you track your time and everything that's going in, you will actually then look at what is the profitability on your clients, and then you get to make the decision. And I
Yeah.
know, and I hear in the ground like time tracking is a massive bugbear,
Yeah.
but just get it done.
Yeah.
Like once you've done it, it will give you so much information. And I know we all know information is power, and the power
Yeah.
to make the right decision. Otherwise, you're going to just keep doing the same thing. It's the definition of insanity, right?
Yeah.
Doing the same thing day in, day out, and expecting a different result.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love that whole time tracking thing, because it's, you ask the question, so you're time tracking. Well, and if anyone starts off with well, they might as well just say no.
Yeah.
So it starts off, well, Johnny doesn't want to do it. And it's like, okay, so let's go back to an expectation exchange here. I'm going to pay you some money for coming to work and you're going to do some
Mhm.
things for me. So that's lovely. Let's say that I need you to track your time. I'm not tracking up on your time. I just had the same conversation with our team. Is I want to know where we're most profitable and where we're not. So we can either release and invest that time elsewhere. I was listening to somebody yesterday and he said, oh, this person was saying, I need to get rid of this individual. And they said, I'm really worried about doing it. And, they paid a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. It was effectively like $100,000 role. And this guy who was presenting said, yeah, but what an opportunity you've got now to say you've just released £100,000 profit in your
Mhm.
business. Where's the best place to invest that? Is it in a new tool or system that's going to help maybe bring in AI or anything like that? What is that going to be doing? So what tips have you got for people who say, well, they don't like tracking time and, they're quite busy as it is at the minute anyway, which is absolute, and I'll say it, bullshit, because they need to, they need to be tracking time because matter what measures and what gets measured gets done, doesn't it? It's so
Yep.
important.
Just do it. Like, now I've measured it my side, my team know I'm not checking up on them. And I think, like, if
Mm.
your team think that you're checking up on them, we've got a cultural issue going on
There's a
there,
bigger issue. Yeah.
right? Got a problem. My team know I'm not an asshole, and it's not the game. Sorry. Sorry.
Keep going. Just keep going.
They know that I'm not going to check up on them and think, what are you doing? I'm not breathing down their neck. They're
No.
all capable adults, but they manage really important relationships. And I need to ensure that they are managing those relationships well based on, and this is now mirrored in the MSP space, whatever you're doing, is it done well? If it's
Yeah.
done well, it should be within the time restrictions in which we've planned it. And if it's creeping the other direction, or even not giving them enough, we need to work out.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing now.
Yeah.
Now, integrity. That's something I would say is high up, very high up on my list. Like, I'm not going to overbill someone either.
Yeah.
And I get it. The MSP says is service. You think, oh, brilliant. It's
Yeah.
slightly different service, isn't it? In that respect,
Absolutely.
like,
Yeah.
great, we've solved their problems. We've given them other avenues to solve their issues, that they're not having to send us lots of tickets, lots of tickets. There's other ways. There's education, right? So I get there's a bit of a difference there as well. But essentially, it's ensuring that if you manage the time and people don't choose not to and don't
Yeah.
want to and push back on you, that's a cultural issue you need to get behind. Are
Yeah.
they right? Are
Yeah.
they right for your team? Are they right for your business? Should they be on the bus?
I totally agree. I totally agree. Let's talk about numbers being a growth lever and not an admin task. And here comes
Not an
the
admin task. Yeah,
here comes the
honestly.
apology. Ian
Everybody be prepared for this.
Ian Luckett, once upon a time, presented at a Super Ops event where Heather was in the audience, and I'm surprised I didn't get a chair thrown at me. And I mentioned that a bookkeeping was a £10 task, and quite surprisingly, Heather was disgusted and was burning inside for probably 2 to 3 years about this, I think, which is why she hasn't been on the podcast. So Heather, I'd like to apologise and say it's bookkeeping is not a £10 task. It's a very important town task. It's probably an 11 or 12. No, it is an important feature and a function because it
Yeah.
adds to this. And it was probably a hang on from a previous presentation. So let's just talk about it. People see
Apology
finances.
accepted.
Right, let's move on. Got it out of the way.
Hey, just a quick one from me for everybody that's listening. Stuart here. If you're serious about growing your MSP but you're not sure what helps right for you, then just grab our Ultimate MSP Growth Guide. It's a really simple way to check out what's out there for support that could really help you work. There's no fluff, there's no filler, just facts. Or alternatively, if you want to meet us face to face and see how we do things up close, come along to one of our events. They're regularly put on. They're all in the links below. Go check them out. And now it's back to the show.
Thanks, Stuart. It's not an admin task, is it? This is a
No.
key lever to drive growth. Why is that so? Why do we, or how do we change the thinking for MSPs to think of it like that?
Well, this is one of the things, right? So I see, and even like on LinkedIn yesterday, somebody was posting on someone I know. Essentially, they'd called out and said their accountant was shit because they were, right? And then someone said, "Oh, you could do all this stuff yourself," and a few people said it. Now, that's like me saying, "I'm just going to do my IT myself."
Yeah,
Everybody recoils in horror and goes, "What are you doing, you crazy woman?" I don't do my IT myself. I've always outsourced it because let the expert do the expert job. I'll do mine, because it's about how much it costs you. So I know we joke about the £10 job. I know what you meant was, it's, as an MSP, you are worth more than you can charge out, right? You can charge out X amount an hour for your time. Why are you doing this when you probably should get someone else to do it? And that's why now the right, and this is really important, the right bookkeeper team for your business is invaluable, priceless. Because if they know your industry and they know your business and they
Absolutely.
get everything in the right buckets, you can see your numbers without being bogged down in those early details. If you're in the detail, I can tell you now you're not reviewing it because you think you've seen it. You haven't seen it, you've just put a bunch of numbers in. But when you can actually see that information very clearly, you can make very sensible decisions about your business. However, if someone, which we have seen so many times, the wrong person doing the job, the director doing the job, a finance person that's not qualified or has talked rubbish and they've done the job really badly and we've dug people out of some serious holes, if they're in the bucket doing the job, that's a problem. And then someone might go, how do you qualify if someone's right for that role? And it's difficult because I couldn't qualify someone to work in an IT role, could I? Can you turn it off and on again? That means that I could work in IT. But a joke, it's not, you can, and it's really difficult. And that's where now I'm so open about in my LinkedIn and share as much information as I can so people can use that to like mark against, is my finance person doing the right thing? And I have a lot of conversations with people where they go, actually, I don't think my finance person is doing the right thing. Or there's a gap in what we're doing. We've got the reporting, but I think the data's crap. Or I've got the data, but I want to do the reporting, and that's nice. So look for those education pieces around that if you're ever looking to verify, like, is your finance functioning well enough?
So how would you measure that your finance function is working properly, or your accountant or your bookkeeper is aligned with you? Do they not just submit the figures, you look at them, glaze over, tick in the box, and then you crack on? But how does it show up to, what does good accounting practices look like? What should the MSP look for with a good accountant or good bookkeeping?
Yeah, so we'll go with the accountant. Let me very quickly explain the difference, because a lot of people go, what would you do different, Heather? So we are a virtual finance department. We're like your IT department. That's what we're like. It's a bit like co-managing, I suppose, right? So we look after from the mailbox right through. So we get all the information, all the data, everything's in the right pot. The compliance work, aka the boring bits, sorry accountants, but they are, right? The bit that they sign the form, I don't mean that, like, they need to do that job, but I don't want to do that job. I can, but I don't. So they put together like your year-end accounts. What you'd be looking for is, if your accountant's contacting you 8 months after your year-end, change your accountant. If your accountant is telling you your VAT return number has been figure and it's been submitted the day before it needs to be paid, change your accountant. Or change your bookkeeping process. This is where we flip in. So we look at the process. Is the information getting to the accountant on time? That's my bag, my world. So we wrap up within 10 days of a month, a quarter, well, every month then, so that within 10 days it's with the accountant. There's no reason why a VAT return should ever be the day before the payment being due. So this is little tests that you can listen to the processes, whether they're the right people. But then now when you look at like the outputs as a owner, what you're looking for, you're looking for measuring out things like, has your margins changed this month to last month? Are they insanely different? Why? Why are they different? Can someone explain to you why that's different? Also, now, again, looking at things like your age debtors, age payables, what's happening? Is your customers paying you on time? Why is your debt increased this month to last month? Was it because it was a chunky invoice that's not being paid? Why is it not being paid? It's about using the good data with the right people to get ahead of the problems, or else you'll spiral. And that's where we often pick things up, because it's spiraled.
And is it down to the accountant to provide a commentary on that so you can start to learn about that? Or is that something that the accountant should just give you the figures and you have to work it out yourself as an MSP?
Yeah, this is fascinating. Yeah, because this comes up as well, because people always go, I'm going to sack my accountant, they're shit. I'm like, wait, they're not shit. They're shit if they're not getting you stuff on time. But what they're not, an accountant, compliance year-end accountant is not there to hold your hand unless you've asked them to do that. And if you've asked them to do that, you have to cross their palm with silver. It doesn't work like that. They go, oh, I'm not getting any tax advice. Have you asked your accountant for tax advice? tax advice isn't free. None of this shit's free, right? Now, we're not going to go to an MSP and say, can I have a free 365 license, please? Do you know what I mean? I'm not. You pay for everything. So you have to make sure that what you've asked for is what you're getting, and don't be upset if you're not getting something if you didn't pay for it. And that's really important. If you're looking for someone to guide you through your numbers, that's where your internal finance department or virtual finance department team, that's the people that guide you through it month on month, because you should be looking at monthly, not yearly. The year end should not be a surprise. You should have seen that 11, 12 times before.
I think that we've pretty much put that to bed, and I think you know exactly what you need to do with that area. I think that was a great section there. Let's talk about money traps. What are some of the money traps that you see with MSPs, and how do we avoid them?
Thankfully, none of my clients are involved in that, but you do hear of it in the rooms. Someone was posted on LinkedIn about their race to the bottom, and I thought, I'm not sure you could get any further down than that, to be honest. I was like, I swear to God, you're not making any money, and I don't know how you can tell the rest of the world you are. It is impossible, actually impossible. But yeah, so you can just see like there's a bit of that going on. Now, not knowing what's profitable and what's not, I did cover it earlier on. It's really important to know that, because again, you don't want to be chucking something out the door with low margin when you could be having a bit more money. And cash flow is something that I guess people don't pay enough attention to. And I posted about that last couple of days. It's been definitely on my mind a lot more. Like, and profit does not equal cash. And you might go, oh, I've made X amount. Well, I don't know, I've made $5,000 worth of profit this month. Bloody good for you. Wow, brilliant. But you've got other commitments that don't hit your profit and loss. They're balance sheet items. And you all go, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is it's not part of the costing. So therefore you've got loans, or you're trying to invest in some things in your office to make it better, like assets. There's things that in there, and people don't necessarily understand the link between cash and profit. And they look at their P&L and they think they're having a great year, and actually don't realise the implications of not understanding what is happening with their money, and they end up with an overdrawn director's loan account because they didn't have the money to take out the dividends that they thought they could. So there's lots of things within that.
Yeah, we heard a couple of MSPs this week talking about, oh, it'll be all right in March because that's when I get my Microsoft billing comes in for the annual bills. And it's like, oh, hang on a second. That's a payday. That's a 12-month payday. You've got it in March. So it's exactly to your point. March is going to be great. April, May, June, probably going to be pretty fantastic. But that wave is going to crest and it's going to drop. And it's going to run out if you're not careful. I don't know whether you see many MSPs doing that and been a little bit out of control that time of year.
Yeah, I've seen it before, especially when they don't have management accounts in play, because what they're not doing is aligning their income and expenditure, and they are literally just looking at now. And what they do is they look at a P&L to date, but to date doesn't show you all the costs. If you're not doing, right, this is a top tip. If you are not doing management accounts, which now that's a sin, but
but we won't judge you.
I'm not judging you, but it might burn a little bit, okay, when you get there. But if you are not, do not look at the P&L to date. Look at the P&L to the last closed finalised period. Let me explain. If we're now in this month, mid-November, okay, look at your debt numbers to the end of October and be mindful of any quarterly, annually billing that you've sent out, and don't just think you've got a ton of money when you don't. That's a mistake I see. It worries me. It does worry me.
Little top tip there for you. Another top tip, I'm just going to dive into a question that we hadn't planned to ask you. What's some of the best tools that you've seen out there? And this is giving the MSPs shiny ball approval to say, what are some of the best tools that you've seen that are just like, everyone needs to have this for their financial management, or this or this? What are some of the really cool things you've seen over the last couple of years come out that's really helped?
Well, we all know that I am not a fan of any other accounting software other than Xero. I have special names for them. The other ones, even my daughter knows what they are. She goes, "What's it called? What books?" I'm like, "You should not say that word."
No, that's fine. Others are available.
Others are available. They are. And I'm not a Xero only practice, but it is the right tool for the job right now.
Yeah.
Okay? You're not too big for it. People go, "Oh, you're too big for it." No, you're not. Right? It's a bloody good tool, and they are constantly working with other tools to have integrations and make them better. And I'll tell you one, actually. I don't want to get lynched for this, but hey. Right, so I tried out Zementum Payments. I took one for the team, everybody. Okay? No. Hard no. Okay?
Doesn't work.
We're gone. Absolutely not. Okay? I am with Go Cardless. Because there isn't a different tool right now for payments that I believe and have seen to be good enough. Cementing payments, absolutely not. Right?
Hey, that's absolutely brilliant show. Thank you very much for the entertainment, I think is what we'll say. What's your top summary, top 3 points here for MSPs to kind of walk away with from this show in terms of takeaways?
Okay, so the first thing I'd say is, now, every month without fail, block out a couple of hours in your diary, and now do it on a morning before now everything's on fire, to review your numbers, right? Even if they're a bag of crap, it's about forming a really good habit. And then once you've got the habit, you're going to start going, oh, that doesn't look right. You're going to start looking at it's your business. You're in charge of this. You have got the key to your destiny. So that's a big recommendation of mine. Also look at, while you're doing that, now, who's doing the work? Who's putting the numbers in? Where are they coming from? Now, is anybody making stuff up? Is the right person doing the job? Are you doing it? Are you the right person to the job? Probably not. I said that nicely. You're not the person for the job. Get rid of it. Give it to someone else who should be doing it, who's capable of doing that. And like, when I think about the MSP space as a whole, and I think of the last 12 months, because we're getting to that stage now, and I think, now there's lots of events out there. And it's really great to go to them. And you can be very distracted because you want to get out, because you want to see your friends. Now, running a business is very isolating, and I absolutely get that. But be choosy. Only go where you need to go when you want a new tool. Otherwise, we've got shiny syndrome and like, oh, that's good, we get confused. Then, if you want to see your friends and build your relationship, find the right events for that as well. Now, looking at the last year now, I did lots of different events, and I'm a huge fan of like the Hunters Road shows. Now, I love the guys to bits, but I would really recommend as well go and see PAX 8. PAX 8. Now, I went to Berlin, and I've been to Copenhagen. No, I've not been to Copenhagen yet. I've been to Amsterdam. I'm going to Copenhagen. But I really recommend that for MSPs. It is not just a massive vendor fest. There's lots of real great key takeaways. Now, the academy team's there. Now, you can bolt on a day either side. You can, as an MSP owner, you can have the rest that you deserve. While seeing your friends, while having takeaways, and now you absolutely welcome back, hit the ground running and do some different stuff. I've so many MSPs that I spoke to just kept actioning. Now, there was actionable takeaways, and you're very well taken care of, and they know how to do a good event.
Yeah, I heard some very good things about that as well, and I agree with everything that you said there. Heather, it's been a great show. Thank you very much. Hopefully not so long next time. Just for people who want to continue the conversation with you, whatever conversation that may be, how do they get in contact with you, Heather?
Well, if you've been living under a rock, you haven't seen me on LinkedIn. I do all my own tricks. I love it over there. But if you do want to contact me, I am on LinkedIn most of the time. Love it. And alternatively, you can now go through my website to contact me, or I speak to other people that work with me. Speak to Ian. I'm sure you'll pass my details on. I'm not going to give my phone number out because that'd be weird.
No, we'll drop all the links in the show notes. So just hit the show notes and we'll be away. So
thank you for having me. I appreciate it. You're right. It won't be so long next time.
No problem at all. It's been an absolute pleasure. So well done for this year, and good luck for the business for next year. And look forward to catching up with you all on the next show. You take care now. See you later. Oh, but one last thing just before you shoot off. And if you're curious about how this episode links with the ability to scale your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, accelerate to 5, then we want to invite you to come and take the MSP Mastery Quiz. And in just 3 minutes, you're going to get a 360-degree scan of your business where you can identify the 1 or 2 tactics that can help you find more time, engage and align your people, and help generate more leads in your MSP. It's really simple. Just click on the link in the show notes. And if you have enjoyed this episode, we'd love to get some feedback from you by means of a rating and review on Spotify or iTunes or your podcast platform of choice. We really appreciate every single one of them. Now you can go and enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to catching up and connecting with you soon. All the best now.